Review of episode 3 of WandaVision.
Man, that's exactly how I felt watching this episode. So, in this episode 3 of WandaVision, we see that Wanda is pregnant. She gives birth to her twins. And then we finally see kind of the reality, the real world towards the end of the episode. I have to say, if I were to give any general notes about the episode, I think that so far it's my favorite because there is a great scene towards the end with Wanda and Geraldine, aka Monica Rambeau. I loved that scene, especially when she mentions Pietro and Ultron. It was a mix of, I loved the interaction between them. I thought it was a great scene that had amazing tension. But for me, it's Elizabeth Olsen's acting. How she shifts, and you're just like, oh my God, Wanda is here.
I seriously get a lot of chills every time she switches, or
She's
every
fantastic.
every time something happens outside of that TV world that she's in. I start getting goosebumps, cold spots, like a fear for me to know the truth, because I feel like I'm living in the same illusion that they're living in. Especially, I feel like Vision is the one that has no freaking idea exactly what the heck is going on.
No, I heard, and this is something that I think we discussed, but I did hear that there is a theory that apparently the Vision that we see in is dead. So she's apparently using Vision's body to kind of mimic everything that they're doing right now. So I think that if that theory comes out to be true, I think it's going to be very dark for Disney, but I love it because, I love when Disney like does things that I'm not expecting.
It's like you said at one point that if all of this that we're talking about is true, this show is actually cruel.
The show is really sad when you see it from a perspective of mental illness, for example, and people not accepting the realities that they're in. It's a very effed up show.
And I love it because it shows exactly the repercussion of her losing Vision, of her desire of the only person that would have been her counterpart, sharing her life with, is Vision. Could you imagine that she's actually, like I said before, Wanda, for those who don't know, Wanda actually has a lot of power and immense power. She can warp reality. She can create her own reality. She can actually reanimate corpses. Like, she can bring people back to life. So this is why we're probably seeing Vision right now. And that's what I don't know. That's what I think. That's what I think. We don't know. And I think we might have missed it, or I might have missed it. But I think Vision doesn't even remember him beating Thanos, or not getting snapped, or I don't think he remembers any of that. So that's something that we're actually going to try and figure out later on in the show. When we watch the show, we expect this googly comedy, gullible, and all this because of how she's living in that world. But every time we see those moments where it sucks out the air in the room, it's like, what's going on? Like,
the show is,
because I know for a fact how powerful she is, and this might be the moment that Marvel has chosen to actually put her there in the position that she is of power. And as we see close to when Vision goes outside, and here's what was confusing, but then I'm like, oh my goodness, what the fuck is going on? Is when Vision went to get the doctor, he ran fast, and the doctor acknowledged it. He was going fast,
and he lied about essentially going on vacation. He was never going on a vacation because they can't get out.
Exactly, it's the Truman Show. Who knows who's telling the truth and who's not? But I know for a fact that Vision doesn't understand what's going on. But at the same time, he ran fast, and he accepted the fact that the doctor would see him at full speed and superhuman, still wearing his natural hair. But then the doctor accepted, okay, this just happened, but I'm going to ignore it. And then when he goes outside and talks to the neighbor, the two neighbors, they're talking in secrecy like, we're trapped. Like, what's going on? We don't know what they're talking about. And Vision's starting to catch up. I believe when Wanda is paying attention, she's actually taking control of the reality. But when she's weak, reality starts to get out of hand and starts to for itself.
I've loved every episode, and I really do think that after this one, things are just going to get weirder and weirder, and we're going to start transitioning out of the whole, sitcom comedy trope that they have and start getting into the real world.
Something is definitely wrong, and all these theories are great. I'm just so excited for this show. This show is amazing. And it gives us a lot to think about. And I appreciate a lot of the secrecy that this show has so that it can keep us engaged on every single episode.
Marvel is gunning for the big leagues, man. Like they are unstoppable. It poses so many interesting questions. I think that's what I love about the show, that every week we can come here and have a discussion. And I think it's one of the reasons why I love Disney Plus so much, because The Mandalorian was the same thing. Every week we were discussing and throwing out theories, and then WandaVision is no different. And I think that any of the shows in the Marvel universe, it's going to be, different. So I like this episode so far. WandaVision has been one of my favorite things to watch, just because of the fact that, and I said this on our previous review, it's something different that Marvel is doing. Like, they're having the guts to pull this off, and I think it's working. I know that a lot of people, or some people, won't understand it fully because they already expect something from Marvel, but in my case, I already knew the formula that they had, and I wanted something different. And this WandaVision is giving me that.